This is part 2 of the video about how to use Saga GIS. In the last video, we downloaded Saga and we opened the program. In this video, we're going to load some data into the program and look at it. So after opening Saga, it should look something like this. This is a screen asking you to open an existing project, which you can ignore. So we'll just hit cancel. And then you have a tip of the day. So these can be ignored too, unless you want to read through them and learn different things from them. But if you click next tip, it'll give you the next one, but not really that relevant. So we'll say close. We'll come here to the blue folder and we'll say open. Now first, in your data program, I think we should open the boundary of the San Carlos Nation. This is a shape file. You see the extension is SHP. This is one of those files that's a vector rather than a raster. And what that means is that it displays lines and points rather than pictures. So we're going to open the shapefile, just click open. And your program might be on the Tools tab right now, or it might be on the Data tab, or it might show the Maps tab. Those are the three tabs that show you where things are in Saga. The Data tab is where the data comes once it's loaded. And you can see here there's a polygon, which is a vector of lines, and here's the file. So to see that, I can double click it and it'll show up. So this gives us the coordinates in latitude and longitude. They're listed along the tops, top and bottom, left and right, of the San Carlos Nation. So one thing you can do with this kind of data is you can zoom in. I've got a zoom tool here, this box. And if I left click and drag to a certain area, it will zoom to that area. So this, as you can imagine, this is very helpful when you want to see detail. And then to go back to the original extent, I can click this button. So that's one data we have, and we've clicked it and it opens. The default place for this map to open is it just says map 1, and you can open more maps and you can have many maps open. But whenever you open data, it's going to ask you where you want to open it, and you can choose different maps. So we're going to open another piece of the data. And remember, this is from the tutorial folder, projects, San Carlos data. And now I want us to open the DEM. So there's a folder called DEM Bilus Area 5 meter. And it has this file in it. And if you click open, you'll see some more information appear under the data tab over here. And what this is a grid depicting the elevation of a very small portion of the San Carlos. So if I double click this, here's where I get the dialog telling me, do I want to make a new map or do I want to add it to the existing map? So in this case, I'll just add it to the existing map. And I'm getting a warning system that the coordinate system of this layer is different from the coordinate system of the polygon we already put in there. But I'm just going to say yes. and it's going to drop the data in to where it belongs. Now, using my zoom tool, I can left click and drag a box around it and zoom into it. And you can see the elevation is depicted in a rainbow from blue to red, where blue values are low and red values are high. If we want to get specific values, there are a couple ways to do that. Number one, down below, you see where it says X and Y. These are the X coordinates and the Y coordinate, the longitude and latitude. And then Z refers to the elevation in meters. So as I move the cursor around the scene, you can see the Z values change, as do the X and Y values. Another way to look at the values is if you go to the data and right-click, you can select histogram. And this will show you a histogram of the values so that you can see wherever there's a certain color of red, that indicates elevation up in this area, about 860 or so. And then wherever there's a dark blue, it's somewhere in the 790s. And you can also modify the way this histogram looks, modify the colors. One way is clicking and dragging to zoom in on a certain part of the histogram. So now we're looking at the values between 795 and 800 or so with a lot of sensitivity, and all the values above around 812 are just shown as red. And then to get back to a full histogram, you can right click here and say adjust to full range. And then we've lost some of the red values because there are only a few that are very, very high. So we're just going to click and drag to the most of the histogram, and we'll get back to a color ramp like what we started with. The important thing is these are values of elevation. Let's open another layer. Here we have some imagery. This ROI, region of interest. NAPE is National Agricultural Imagery Program. And then NAT83 is the Coordinate Reference System. And I'm going to open that. And let's double click it and add it to the map. Again, I get a warning system about the Coordinate Reference System, but that's okay. So if I zoom out a little bit by right-clicking, you can see there's some overlap between the elevation model and the imagery. And of course, the imagery shows us in red, green, and blue the reflectance that's seen from the land surface. And just to show you the way the layers interact, here I've clicked on the tab for the map, and you can see that there's the NAIP thing that we just added. Then there's this one, which is the digital elevation model. And then there's the polygon representing the San Carlos. Now, because we added the NAPE most recently, it's the one on top of the others. Because you can see this corner is on top of the DEM. You can change that if you want. You can grab the DEM by left clicking on it and pull it up and then let go. And now the DEM's on top. And let's add one more layer. Let's add roads, shapefile of roads. And we'll come to our data tab. We'll click on roads. We'll add it to map number 1. And the roads are displayed in a sort of brown, which is kind of hard to see. So what we can do is we can highlight the data tab, come over here, and you can see that this is what the color is for that. It's olive. Let's change it to black. And let's make it a little bigger. Let's make it a 2. Hit enter, and then apply. And now the roads are like a darker black, a little bit easier to see. Okay, that's it for this video. I'll make another one. This is just to show how you can put data in to look at it. Thanks for watching.